What is going on, Sports Wars? It is the NFL playoffs. It is Wild Card Sunday after a pretty crazy Wild Card Saturday. We had an insane game between the Texans and the Bills, and we had, I don't want to say expected letdown for the New England Patriots, but to be honest, I think a lot of us did kind of see where this was headed. We just didn't want to accept it this year, especially, people who, maybe started this channel like Jeremy. Maybe he didn't. He was ready to say it, but he wasn't ready to feel it, I think. But yeah, what is going on, everyone? I am here with Jay, aka Drunk 3PO. How's it going,
Hello,
Bill?
my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been crazy.
I was 50% correct so far. I thought the Bills were gonna win, but I did pay. I've been riding Ryan Tannehill, man. I've been riding my dude. So
yeah.
I'm gonna ride him all the way to Baltimore. See what happens.
Well, that game yesterday, you just talked about it. We'll talk a little bit about the games that happened yesterday before we cover what's upcoming. But that Bills-Texans game, man, the Bills, I think the best way to say is Josh Allen, as much as they may have fooled people along the season, Josh Allen is what we thought he was. Yes. He's a guy who can run the ball. He's athletic. He can make a couple throws every now and then. But at the end of the day, his accuracy, his decision-making all came into play at the end of that game, and they just imploded against the Texans. I don't know if you caught that, but there's John in chat. Yeah, the Bills had plenty of opportunities to win that game. They sure as hell did. They just it was sad. I definitely thought the Bills were just going to end it. Yeah, I thought the Bills were going to end it. The Texans looked pitiful throughout most of the game. The Bills had the ball in the red zone several times, just couldn't convert touchdowns, and that comes back to haunt him at the end.
I was at a sports bar downtown Disney. They have actually one of the best. They have the ESPN sports bar, which is it is what it is. It's probably one of the best sports bars you can go to. It was filled with Bills fans, and after the first half, they were riding high, man. First half, it seemed like, and then game go. It's unbelievable. Did you think there was some questionable calls?
Listen, there's questionable calls in every game. I'm kind of over even complaining about that kind of thing because that's the way that all sports are. That's the way the NFL is. With the exception of when you have moments like the pass interference with the Saints and the Rams, from the playoffs. Was that last year, I think? But with the exception of that, there's going to be missed calls along the way. It's just part of the game. But yeah, the Bills they just could not, they scored that touchdown early by a little trick play, John Brown throwing to Josh Allen. And, that offense just couldn't get it done when it mattered. Josh Allen looked like a lost puppy dog out there at times in the fourth quarter, making crazy plays, almost threw the game away several times. But that game was kind of, interesting. But the one that really came down yesterday that's going to have some long-lasting impact potentially was that New England and Tennessee Titans game at New England. And Jay, if I had bet you $50 at the beginning of the season, if I'd said, the way New England's season is going to end, back-to-back home losses to the Miami Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans, would you have taken that bet?
Yes. I would have doubled or tripled it. I would have said there's no way they would lose back-to-back at home, especially against these two teams. No way. No way. Absolutely no way.
Yeah, and just, the whole last half of the season for them, it just they couldn't move the ball at all.
No, it was crumbling, man.
They did not have a single downfield threat.
No.
Yeah.
And the defense,
they've got their weapons at the back.
Oh, I'm sorry, boss. Keep cutting you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're good. You're lagging just a second behind or so. So I'll keep that in mind. But they have, they got James White and Rex Burkhead, scat backs out of the backfield. They've got Sony Michel, a decent, a very a very good running back when they use him the right way. You have Julian Edelman, but other than that, somebody further than 5 yards down the field, they don't have any threats. Philip Dorsett, is that your deep threat? It's just a joke.
Exactly. And so the issue was the defenses of the other teams picked up on that quickly. They started bringing their guys inside to stop the crossing routes that Patriots love to use on those crossing patterns. And then once they figured that out, they couldn't do anything. That's why you saw Brady. I believe Brady he went 2 games where he threw pick sixes, which he's never done before in years. So very, very un-Brady-like.
Yeah, well, and at the end of the game, the way that ended, it was a deflected ball. They were backed up against their own goal line. A pick six at that moment doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. It's desperation mode for them. But I was surprised that I guess I'm not, because as a defender, you get your hands on that ball, you go for the end zone. But they could have just, you would probably want your defender in that moment to just grab the ball and go down, and then you could just kneel the clock out. But it obviously worked out for them. The chances of someone actually coming back from a 6-point deficit with 9 seconds left isn't very good. But the big question,
Patriots, everyone, it seemed like everyone there wasn't nervous. Even with the ball on the 1 yard line, with Tom Brady going to go down the field and score and win the game, it was still it's still very possible. It's just very, very possible. But I don't know. That team just looked rattled, man. They just didn't look – they were shut out in the second half, right? The Patriots were shut out.
Yeah. Because I think it was 14-13. Yeah, I don't know if anybody – I don't know if until that pick anybody scored, because the Titans scored right before the end of the half to make it 14-13, right? And that's the way it was the whole second half. And if I'm sitting there, this is how I imagine the game going, because I know Bill Belichick. We've seen the Patriots a long time. What Belichick likes to do is he likes to take away whatever you do best. And what the Titans unequivocally do best is run the ball with Derrick Henry. So I thought they were going to load the box, take away Derrick Henry, force Ryan Tannehill to make a play. At the end of the day, Ryan Tannehill threw for 72 yards in this game.
Well, though, man, I'm telling you, he's really found his offense, even though, like you said, they were shut out, but he was able to stay on the field to eat up a lot of clock, which is, people don't really consider that a good stat, but it really is. If you can keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hands, that's a good thing. But he's just been doing well. I'm very happy for him, man. Baltimore's a totally different animal, but
yeah, and Tannehill, it's not to say he didn't make any plays. I mean, he had a couple scrambles actually for first downs. One that he was fighting for yards and finally, got it so they could keep running that clock out. They didn't ask him to do much. He didn't have to do much. I think it was 8 for 15. So he barely had to throw the ball because they just went with Derrick Henry. Now, they limited Henry somewhat. He still had 5 yards of carry, but I think it took him 34 or 35 touches to get to 180 yards. So it's not like he was breaking things open necessarily. But yeah. So interesting. But what do you think is going to happen with Tom Brady, though? That's my question to you, Jay. Oh, and he dropped out. He didn't want to answer. So if you guys can't tell, I see somebody, Jay, actually signing 3PO. Yeah. Drunk right now is on his phone. He's mobile. So that's why he's a little tough to understand why he's lagging a little bit. But that's the question on a lot of people's minds is what's going to happen with Tom Brady after this? After this home loss, is that really, Tom Brady's a free agent officially for the first time in his career, and they can't franchise tag him. So what's going to happen? I personally would be shocked if Tom Brady was not back with the New England Patriots next year. I just don't see them having, who are they going to move on to? They don't have somebody waiting in the wings. I also don't see them necessarily signing somebody like a Phillip Rivers or a veteran like that. If they were going to do that, I feel like they would just make things work with Tom Brady. But, Jay, what are your thoughts? Do you think that Tom Brady will be back in a Patriots uniform? Do you think he will retire? Or do you think we could see him in a different uniform next year?
I think they'll sign him. It would be hard for me to see Bob Kraft letting him go with all the Super Bowls and all the championships and all that winning that they have done and the franchise that they have built around Brady, seeing him in another uniform. I just don't think that will happen. Even if the season, even if they have to go through 2 or 3 years of a bad season, I don't think they would let him go. He's a national treasure, and he's a national treasure there. They would be stupid to do that. They would be stupid to do that. And that's my thoughts. And sorry about that, man. I'm driving down these country roads, and the signal's gonna come on and off. But
no worries. I let everybody know why you have an excuse for leaving. It wasn't just you didn't want to answer the question. So
I don't even know how I sound. If it's all robot-y, then sorry.
I did have one comment that says Jay actually sounds like 3PO today. So it's not robot-y, but it's a little tinny.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, I think most people are saying there's a couple people who think Brady could retire, but most people in chat are kind of saying they think that he'll be back.
What would be the ideal situation, though? Would it be Broncos again? So that's why he would leave unless he found if he looked around and said this is the perfect winning team for me to go in and try to win one more Super Bowl, like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning wasn't going to go to some starter team or he was going to go to a team that was already established that had talent. So I don't know where he would go.
I don't think he will go to the Broncos. I don't see the Broncos as some destination. They don't really have weapons. Just being straight up, their offensive line is also garbage. I just don't think that's I don't see it as a realistic option for him. And also, it's one of the only places that I believe Brady has a losing record in is Denver. Obviously, he's facing Denver when he's there. It's not his home when he's doing that, but I don't know how well he likes the altitude. But a lot of people, Brady was asked after. He said very low chances that he retires. I agree. And at that point, he doesn't know what's in the future. The Patriots don't really know what's in the future for him either. I expect to see him back there. Some people have said Chargers. They think Chargers have potential because Philip Rivers seems to be gone. And some people are saying they feel like they could swap quarterbacks. I just don't see why that makes sense. Another problem with the Chargers is that line is garbage. They have great weapons, but their line's trash. So
he has to go somewhere where he's going to be protected because of his age. And he gets bumped once or twice. He's rattled. So he's got to go somewhere where that line he can just stand around and throw it. He has to be in a place like that. He cannot be a mobile quarterback at all.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, the dude's 43. I don't know how much we can expect, but yeah.
No, it's just his playing style too. Even when he was younger, I mean, he wasn't I think he had the record for the slowest 40 or something like that. And when he went to the camp, so he's just not mobile. He's got to have a line. So I just don't know where he'd go. I look around the league, there's just no team that's the Broncos with Peyton Manning was a unique situation. They were winning with Tim Tebow. So you throw Manning in there, it just kind of was wow, what nothing against Tebow, but it's a little different. Different quarterback situation. So
get after. All right. So with that being said, that's kind of what happened last night. But let's talk about the games we have coming up today. Because we still have the two NFC games. I see some Seahawks fans in chat. I see some Saints fans in chat, Eagles fans. I haven't caught a Vikings fan yet, but that is what's going on today. So the first game, which is going to start in about 35 minutes here. Kickoffs at 1:05 Eastern, 10:05 Pacific. Minnesota Vikings, the 6th seed, against the New Orleans Saints. How do you feel about this game, Jay? And he's muted himself, and he dropped out. Every time after I ask this mofo question, because I'm trying to do something else, he drops out. But that's okay. That's okay. So like I said, that first game, it's going to be Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, the 6th seed, against the 3 seed New Orleans Saints at the Superdome. And listen, I think we all have a certain feeling about Kirk Cousins. I don't know if there's many people that have a lot of confidence in him to do something in a big game. Kirk Cousins is a guy who historically beats crappy teams, plays well against mediocre teams, but when he plays good teams, he's terrible. I believe I saw a stat, he's 0-15 all time against teams that finish with 12 or more wins. And I think he's like only 1-12 against the spread or something in similar situations. So I think for most people, that's a pretty big step if they think that the Vikings are going to go down there and put up a big fight with Kirk Cousins against the Saints. But how do you feel about this game, Jay?
I'm going for the Vikings. That's my –
Really?
I'm going for the Vikings and Eagles today. Those are my 2 big whammy picks. Yep, Vikings and Eagles.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. I got this feeling, man, that the Vikings are just – they're going to – they play well in domes. Oh, so do the Saints. Don't get me wrong. I think it's – I don't know, man. I think the Vikings are going to pull it off. They're going to pull off a miracle.
It's interesting.
They're going to pull off a miracle because they've done it before. They've done it before in like these ridiculous plays, and I don't know, man. I just got a feeling the Vikings are going to win. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but this weird. It's going to be upset. This is going to be upset Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. And I see what you're saying. There's no way I'd ever put money on that. I've seen Kirk Cousins play for a long time. I've seen how he does in big games.
Don't put money on that.
Yeah, listen, Drew Brees at 40 years old, granted, he did miss those 5 games. He had that torn ligament in his hand or in his thumb or whatever it was. But this is one of his best seasons of all time. The weapon he has in Michael Thomas, he will use and abuse. Alvin Kamara is an absolute beast. Listen, that's going to be a matchup to watch, is going to be Alvin Kamara against those fast Vikings linebackers. Definitely going to be a matchup to watch. But as good as the Vikings defense is, the Saints defense quietly over the past 2 years has also played extremely well. So you have a healthy Dalvin Cook supposedly going for the Vikings, but I am not going to bet against Drew Brees at home in this matchup against Kirk Cousins, who I honestly think, listen, I would be happy if Kirk Cousins was the quarterback of my Chicago Bears right now because of what we have in Trubisky. But at the end of the day, Kirk Cousins is not a guy that's going to go out and win you a game against a great team. I just don't see it happening.
You're probably 100% correct. So I'm just going with my inner hope.
Well,
let's see what happens.
Some of your random picks like that have been successful this year, and at the end of the day, I'm saying I don't see any way. And of course, we see things that we don't expect to happen every week in the NFL. But I just think that the Saints are really poised right now. They have the weapons. Kamara's not what he's been in past seasons. Dalvin Cook is a beast. Dalvin Cook is definitely a beast. And Kamara, I feel like he hasn't been what he's been because I haven't really needed him to go full. I think he's really been pacing himself this year. But I mean, Michael Thomas caught like 160 balls or something this year. The dude's a monster. You talk about people who aren't what they were a year ago. Look at Adam Thielen. Look at the drop off that Adam Thielen has had after the monster years he put up. Adam Thielen's been a huge disappointment. Him and Kirk Cousins have not been on the same page this year. So, I mean, you want to talk about people not being themselves, Adam Thielen. And Kyle Rudolph, although he did score a couple touchdowns, second half of the year, he as well is not the same player he used to be, that same reliable player at tight end. And I don't know. I just like the Saints in this one.
You're probably right. I just have a weird feeling Vikings are they're just going to pull out all the stops. They have nothing to lose. Like you said, they've had and they're so weird. Vikings have just been so weird. Like, they have a game where they look like Yes, that's what we want to see. They're playing awesome, and then like the next 3 weeks they play like they're the Redskins, like Kirk Cousins of the Redskins. So it'll be fun. I hope it's a fun game. That's all I hope. I like when they come down to like the last minute. So I hope it's a fun game. No shootouts.
Well, I mean, we definitely got, we got some close games yesterday, and that
Yeah, they were great.
it was so close, in fact, that I had to ask you to do a video for the end of the Texans Bills game because I wasn't planning on going to overtime, and I had a stream of my own to start. It ended up going into overtime and just went a little too long. But I think that obviously when we talk about Drew Brees, we're kind of in a similar situation as Tom Brady. How much more time does Drew have? But for him, he's only 40. He is playing right now arguably better than he has ever played in his life.
Yeah, I agree.
He had the highest passer rating of his career. The month of December, 15 touchdowns, no picks. He's doing it all, and he's doing it at an extremely high level. And but he is old, and that window is closing for the Saints.
Man, we live in a new era though, man. Like with medicines, vitamins to keep our bodies in shape. I mean, it's just I'm not to bring up LeBron James, but even LeBron James is 35. It's still like on the top of the game, which is really, it's just you just don't see that. Vince Carter's still playing in the NBA. He's over 40. You just don't see it. Tom Brady, you probably didn't see that 15 years ago. Maybe not even 10 years ago.
Vince Carter is about to become the first NBA player to play in 4 decades.
4 decades, dude.
Yeah, because he played in '99, obviously the 2000s, 2010s, and now the 2020s, which is pretty insane. Pretty insane.
Yeah, the way he takes care of his body, though, is like the supplements and pills and like stuff he eats and everything. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, that's why I'm eating Taco Bell. That's why I'm not in the NFL. Probably. That's probably it. But we got a $5 super chat from our man RC from the NYC. What's up, Sports Wars family? What's up, chat? Hope everyone is doing well. Yesterday was a great day of football, and today may be even bigger. Yeah, man, for sure. Today was great, or yesterday was great, and we'll see. I hope we have close games at least. I could definitely see both these games ending up in blowouts if the cards fall right on the table. But hopefully it won't. Hopefully they'll be close. This first game, I would say, more likely than the second game, maybe, even though I think the Eagles are by far the worst team in the NFC playoffs. The Seahawks are a little banged up.
I'm going to tell you, man, the Seahawks do not play well. Remember when I said the Rams were going to destroy the Seahawks and everybody laughed at me? I said, I've seen the Seahawks. I have a close friend who's a huge Seahawk dude that lives here in the area, and like we would watch it together, and he's just like, they don't play well in those type of arenas against these weird teams. They just don't play well. The Rams destroyed them. It was like a shocker, and it's just like the Rams are garbage, and it's just like I don't know. They have to go to Philadelphia. I don't think they're just going to play well. I don't think they're going to play well.
Yeah, well, and we
could be wrong. Could be wrong again, but I'm just saying, like statistically on paper, they should destroy the Eagles. They should destroy them, honestly. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then we also have a $5 or $4.99 super chat from Teresa Martin. What's going on, Teresa? Good morning. Watching with my Football for Dummies book. We all need those sometimes. We all need those.
I live with that book.
Yeah, that's what he's reading out of right now. That's why. Exactly. That's why every time I ask him a question, he has to drop out. He has to pull out the book to read it. But I guess we can kind of move on to that game. Seahawks at Eagles. That game's going to be 4:40 Eastern, 1:40 Pacific time. The Eagles. It's kind of sad, the Seahawks, I think they were either 11-5, 12-4, something like that. The Eagles, who just barely sneak into the playoffs, get to host a home game. And the Eagles, had to win a couple games to get in.
Against bad teams.
against bad teams. The Seahawks come in after losing a heartbreaking game to the 49ers. And God, the way that game ended, the last game in the regular season of the 100th season of NFL football, for them to be on the 1 yard line and get a delay of game penalty, get stopped an inch short of the goal line. That had to be rough to go from, potentially
At
maybe
home.
getting at home. Yeah. Getting
At home, man.
Getting that 3 seed, being able to host a game all the way to dropping down to that 5 seed, having to go on the road has to be a tough thing. But the Seahawks are a seasoned, experienced team with Pete Carroll. He'll have them ready to go. On the same token, the Eagles have Doug Peterson, and the Eagles have been here the last several years. So you think that Seahawks are going to come in and struggle?
I do. I don't think they're going to play well, and they don't play well in that stadium. I don't know what it is. The ground. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Veterans Stadium. They don't play well there. Like, they don't play well against the Rams. And for some reason, it seems like they just lose their sync. They lose their togetherness when they go there. So I think the Eagles are gonna come out in an ugly game. I bet it'll be turnovers that decide the game. Turnovers are gonna decide the game. We probably see a lot of Lynch this game that we didn't see last game. I think we're going to see a lot more of him. They're going to try to ground, just pound it through. And we'll see what happens. If they can get past the Eagles, the Seahawks it'll be the Seahawks and 49ers in the championship game, in my opinion. So I picked the 49ers to win the Super Bowl this year. So, but that's just me.
Yeah, and Salasso in chat brings up a good point. No Foles to bail out the Eagles in the playoffs. Yeah, it's
True.
all on Carson Wentz. No more Big Dick Nick in the playoffs. Big Dick Nick is down getting paid in Jacksonville, not doing anything.
Sitting on a beach.
Yeah, sitting on a beach, not doing anything. Just thinking about all the money that Jacksonville paid him to play like trash this year. But to me, Marshawn Lynch.
That name too. He hates that name.
I would love that. Oh my God. How could you not? You got all these thoughts were out there chanting Big Dick Nick.
I know.
Like, come on, man. You gotta love that. But at least if I were him, I'd be embracing it.
I would too.
But you brought up a good point with Marshawn Lynch. So at the very end of the season, the Seahawks really got banged up at the running back position. Chris Carson out. Rashad Penny out, tore his ACL. So they end up signing beast mode Marshawn Lynch, who comes in and actually looked pretty good in some limited play against the 49ers. And maybe didn't quite run in fast enough when the ball was on the 1 yard line to end up getting that delay of game penalty. Because what a shock. They're on the 1 and Pete Carroll brings in beast mode for the run. He wasn't going to make the same mistake that they made against the Patriots.
Yeah.
But then they got that penalty and had to back it up.
I think we'll see a lot of him today, though. I just think we'll see a lot of him. Why sign him if you're not going to use him? He's a freaking wrecking ball. I mean, use him. You got to use him early, which will bring the defense up to try to stop the run game, which will set up, Wilson to get the ball downfield. But dude, you just hear. I've been to. I think I called it Veterans Stadium, which was wrong. That's not Veterans Stadium.
Lincoln Financial.
Yeah, that's what it is. And there's just a weird. There's like a weird swirling breeze in there. That some QBs go in and they're not like they don't adjust to it properly. It's hard to explain, and so I think that's why the Eagles always do well playing at home. Well, most teams should do well playing at home, but it's just that there's something weird in that stadium that just because I've been there, the wind just kind of if it's windy, it swirls in there like a little cyclone. Which teams that are used to playing in like different places, they just don't play well there. They just don't. So that's just what I'm going off of. I know that's really a stretch, a reach. That's ridiculous talk, but that's where I'm going.
Well, the other weird thing about Philly is definitely the fans. The Philly fans are freaking relentless. We know what the Seahawks have. We got Seahawks Reign says Russ is the real MVP. We know what they got with the 12th man. up in Seattle. That stadium's very loud, but I don't think the Seahawks fans are quite as mean as the Philly fans. It's an experience for sure in whatever brand of sport you're talking about in Philadelphia to go in there. These are the people that throw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, and they went on a huge PR run to try to remove that video from all YouTube websites, everything, because they didn't want their fan base to look bad. So the Santa Claus being pelted with snowballs, it's hard to find anywhere.
Yeah, and
kind of funny, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the meme, right? It's kind of the meme. Oh, they threw stuff at Santa Claus, but at the end of the day, Philly fans. Philly's a hard city, and they have passionate fans.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. So they're going to bring it. And I do see somebody. Russ is nowhere near Jackson, Mahomes, or Watson's level. Listen, Deshaun. I think that I would take Russell Wilson over Deshaun Watson right now in a heartbeat. That's just me. Although I do think Deshaun Watson is a great young quarterback who's going to do a lot of good things going forward. Russell Wilson has
experience, man. People always underestimate experience. It's just experience, man. That's a huge thing, man. It's huge, and you either run with it, like you build from it, or or it just eats you up. Like big games eat you up. Like I believe we bring up Cam Newton. Had that freak year, goes all the way to the Super Bowl and they lost one game, and then after that he just kind of couldn't build on that, just couldn't build on that. It's crazy. Same with RG3, had a freak year, couldn't build on it, but Russell Wilson builds on it. He builds on that experience and he learns from it and he grows, and I think he's an excellent quarterback. I would take him. Definitely take him.
Yeah, definitely. He just seems to be able to get it done in big moments for sure. And we'll see what happens. Two teams that have experience in the playoffs, two coaches that have experience and aren't really gonna. You can argue whether Pete Carroll's made some stupid plays or stupid calls in the past. And he definitely has. But he's a guy who's been there, done that. He is not gonna let the moment get to him, and neither is Doug Peterson. So I do think it's a very interesting game.
I just hope at the end of the day, it's playoff football. I want it to be fun to watch. That's the thing. I can't stand blowouts because then it's like the game's over in the first quarter. Unless it's my team, but my team probably won't see the playoffs until after I'm long gone.
Yeah. I actually did see somebody in chat earlier, after we had talked about Tom Brady, saying maybe Brady can go to Miami.
That would be crazy.
How would you feel about that as someone who has rooted against Tom Brady for 20 years, him going to Miami? With those receivers.
I embraced LeBron James. So, hated LeBron James. Then he comes to Miami, gave us some rings. I was like, I'm a fan for life. That's my man. He would be injured if he came to Miami. Tom Brady would be injured probably week 2. So,
yeah.
I cheer for him. That's my team, so you got to cheer for him, but it'd be weird. It'd be really weird. That football card would probably be worth a lot of money one day. Tom Brady in a Dolphins uniform.
Well, as someone who owns tens of thousands of sports cards, most of them aren't worth shit. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, that is interesting to think about. So at the end of the day, I think we're going opposite here. I think I am saying that the Saints are going to pull it out over the Vikings and that the Seahawks are going to go into Philly and win. And you're saying the opposite. So we're completely on opposite sides here.
Yeah, I'm going for the grand slam. So let's see, these are the two big upsets. It would be an upset if both those teams, if the Vikings win or the Eagles win, that would be huge upsets. Not even a small upset, that would be a big upset. So I don't know. I'm just feeling like big upset. Do you think Tennessee win was a big upset? You think you would consider that a huge upset? I didn't either.
Definitely an upset. It's definitely an upset, but I think a lot of us saw the route that this was going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I thought if the Patriots didn't come out big, like in the first quarter, like they didn't set the tone and like have a lot of points, they would lose. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Like they didn't come out, firing. And so it's exactly what happened. So that's going to be I think turnovers for the Vikings is going to be the key. If they can keep the ball if they can keep the ball and not turn it over on like ridiculous, like Kirk Cousins down to make a play happen and turning the ball over, they're going to have a great shot at winning that game. As far as the Eagles go, if the Seahawks run Lynch and pound, they don't have an answer for Lynch, the Seahawks will win. But if they don't do that, they will lose this game. Those are Jay's key points for the game today.
There you go. Yeah, I think that at the end of the day that the Seahawks are going to ride. They're going to try to ride Lynch a little bit, but Russell Wilson always comes up with these big chunk plays. And I think that's what you're going to see again in this game against the Eagles. And I think the Eagles will just kind of struggle to move the ball. Zach Ertz is still dealing with those ribs. He's not going to be at 100%, and he's definitely their best weapon. Their receiving core all year just hasn't been able to get really any separation at all, in my opinion, when I look at them. But again, it's at Philly, so it's going to be tough. But I had the Seahawks going in and winning that game. When you look at the game we talked about before, the game coming up here in 10 minutes, I just don't see Kirk Cousins being able to do anything, to be honest. Not because just because it's Kirk Cousins. We've seen a guy who's never been able to win on Monday Night Football in prime time. A dude 0-15 against good teams, basically, against great teams. And they're going into
the new Tony Romo. I'm sorry to cut you, boss. He is like the new Tony Romo of the –
yeah.
Just does enough to get you there, but can't finish. I hear you loud and clear. But, yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's just kind of how I stand on that. I just really trust Drew Brees, and I trust Sean Payton. I trust the Saints in the Dome, at least against a team like the Vikings, who, in my opinion, have very limited offensive capability. I think they're going to ride Dalvin Cook hard in that first half. You're going to see a lot of plays from Dalvin Cook out of the backfield because we got check down Kirk. And I think that is how it's going to go. But, yeah, so game starts in about 10 minutes. You got any final thoughts about Wild Card Weekend, about the Patriots game, the Houston game, where we go forward?
No. Let's just see what happens. I just hope it's good football. Just hope we have some good football.
We got Aaron says, "Fuck football. Let's get to baseball season." Well, I mean, listen, as a fellow Bears fan, I can tell you that. Baseball season for the White Sox ain't gonna be as good as everybody in Chicago is talking about right now. White Sox are still gonna fucking suck, Aaron. So just letting you know. But we got a couple people saying Lynch ain't gonna carry the ball 12 times. Humphrey Bogart 12 times. I think that Lynch gets 15 to 20 touches.
Yeah, same.
He may die. But he may die. He may have to eat in Skittles to be resuscitated on the sidelines. But I think that they don't have many options, to be honest. I do think he will get the ball a lot, and I think they'll be winning for a lot of this game too. So I would say 15 to 20 carries for me.
I agree. If he doesn't, they'll lose the game. That's where I'm at.
Well, if he doesn't, it may be because they need to catch up. You know what I mean?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. It'll be fun. Let's just hope we have some fun football.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But, guys, thanks for being here with us for this pregame. I know that I'm pretty sure Uche Waneri, the observant lineman, is doing like a play-by-play. I think he's going to be live streaming the game, not the actual game, but just him talking about the game. So if you guys want to go over and check him out, please do. Another member of the Sports Wars team. But thanks for being here with me, Jay. I know it's a kind of a pain. You're in the car right now. So
no, it's all good. Like, we're doing music for a nursing home like the next few weeks. So it's a little far. So I'm driving home to catch the game. And I enjoy being here, man. I just hope it wasn't a mess up for you guys.
Oh, no, we're good. Yeah, I'm always doing it. So whoever can join, I'm happy that I don't have to just talk to myself the whole time. So.
I hear you. Well, enjoy the game, my friend.
Hey, you too, man. And you heard it here. Don't let him forget. He picked the Vikings and the Eagles. Just make sure everybody's aware.
I picked the Dolphins last week too, and they won.
I don't care about that. That was last week. That's old news. Old news. But we will talk to you guys later. We'll be having videos about what's going on, about how these games end up. As always, make sure your notifications are on. If you're not subscribed to the channel. Turn that notification bell on so you know when we got some breaking sports news. And but other than that, you never know when we might be going live. But you can always guarantee we'll be going live before NFL Sunday games. Thanks for being here, bro. Thanks for being here, everybody in chat. And we will talk to you guys.